Hello, Mr. President. Hello, Mr.
Well,
President. I'm on the road. I will be able to join you in the next 10 minutes.
okay, and just before I get started as well, I will mute you all, but you can unmute at any time. Feel free to just check your microphone on the left side of your screen. I don't know if your phone is in a different location, but you just need to click the microphone and you can unmute yourself whenever you need to. So let's get it started. And first of all, thank you so much for joining, all of you guys. This is, I think, the first accomplishment of this virtual conference that we have been planning over the past few weeks. It's great to see all your faces. I'm really happy to see you all here on behalf of the board. And personally, I really was looking forward to this opportunity to meet again. So thank you so much. As you know, the board was also trying to make this possible with all the challenges we have had over the past few years, but it's good that we are all here together. Just for a matter of context, as you know, what we will be doing today is going through the General Assembly that we have to have as part of the bylaws of the organization. As you may have seen in your emails, today we'll do this. The General Assembly is going to be an hour and a half the most. And tomorrow, Wednesday, at the same time, we will have a question and answer panel with all the Americas suppliers. We will have participation from Jacob, from Ernesto, from myself, from Vanessa, from Colombia. We will have hopefully Dan as well, from Butterfly Dance. We expect to have Francisco Serrano. Now we expect to have you, Joanna, as well from Mariposas de Mindo. So we will have a good panel. And I'm sorry if I'm missing another name. I think Michael Rojas as well from Costa Rica is joining. So we will have a group of 9 to 10 suppliers tomorrow, where we expect to have an open call for questions and have an idea on how this pandemic has impacted the American suppliers and what we could expect in the coming years. So that is something that we will do tomorrow. And on Thursday, at the same time as we are having this call, we will have a similar session, but with the African and Asian suppliers. So for that call, we will have the participation of Beth from the Philippines, from Jennifer from the Philippines. I forgot right now her last names, I'm sorry. We are also going to have the participation of our good friend Hussein from Kipepeo. We will have participation of BT as well. And I think that I'm missing somebody's name as well. But we will have a panel of about 5 to 6 panelists from Asia and Africa on Thursday. And again, it's going to be an hour and a half where people can come and question and present anything that might be relevant for the audience. What is important to mention here is that you can check the YouTube channel that we have created for this conference. Have you all received the link to the YouTube channel? Yep. Okay. If not, you can check the latest emails that maybe Uli or Sharka have sent to you guys. There should be a link to a YouTube channel. We have uploaded up to, I think right now, up to 12 videos, very interesting videos, different perspectives on how each supplier is managing these pandemic times. And I think that the idea of those videos is to present some context for those question and answer sessions. So I think that that's the commercial I wanted to present just before we get started. All right. So with that, are you guys listening to me okay? All good? Yep. Thank you. So let me start sharing my screen, and Uli, I put you as a co-host in case that you can help me with the chat, in case that there are any questions, and you can unmute yourself and let me know if I'm moving too fast or if something is not working well. So let me share my screen. Mhm. Can you, Uli, can you help me and confirm if the screen shows okay in audio? Because I wanted to hide all the windows of the faces.
Yes,
That's
screen is
good.
shared. All good.
All right. So let's get it started. So I will try to not bore you to death, but clearly there are lots of formalities that needs to be presented as part of the General Assembly topic. So this is going to be our agenda for the day. Quick welcome that I think I have already done. We will go through a status report. That's how we're trying to call it. A quick report on how things have worked for the board during this year and almost 2 years. I will try to summarize what we have tried to do over the past 2 years. And I have to say, and I forgot, I didn't present myself. I'm sorry about that, but my name is Sergio Siles. For those of you who don't know me, I am the president of the association since early 2021, but I've been part of the board over the past 2 to 3 years. It's hard to keep track of time now, but I've been part of the board, and I've been also representing CRES, Costa Rican Entomological Supply, one of the suppliers that has worked with many of you for many, many years, over 37 years. And I apologize that I didn't present myself before. But clearly, as the president, I will be guiding the assembly session and getting participation from the rest of the board members who are here today, who are Uli Hartmann. Uli is our vice president. I don't know if, well, Curtis is here, our secretary, Curtis Herberger from Victoria Butterfly Gardens. We will have the participation of James Shipp from Stratford Butterfly Farm. He is our treasurer. He will be joining shortly. He's taking charge of her children, his children. And we have Hussein as well, Hussein Aden from Kipepeo. And we also have Gert Jonkers from the Netherlands, from Blinders. And he is also part of the board. And Tim Wong, I don't know if Tim has been able to join today. Tim is also part of our board. As many of you know, Tim is part of the California Academy of Science. We do have the participation as well of Gerlinde. Many of you know Gerlinde, who is the chair of the conference committee. And Chantal the Rooms, who many of you know as well as our communication, as the chair of our communication committee. So we have a good representation today from Liaison's committee chairpersons and the board. So thank you all for being here. So we will go through again the status report of the association, what we have been able to accomplish, what is still pending to do. Then James will be joining and helping us with a quick financial update about the association and important details that I think are relevant for all of us as associates to be aware of. Then between Uli and I, we'll be talking about the board and terms and especially the terms that are active right now and the nomination cycles that we will have to run in December for certain positions that we will have to find new candidates, okay? And last but not least, we will go through a quick update or presentation on what to expect for next year, and also not only challenges, but also the opportunities that we have as an association and as an industry that we can think about as we move forward into 2022. Okay. So let me get started with the board accomplishment. So this is a quick view of one of our calls a few weeks ago. But I have to say that even though this has been a very crazy time for every one of us, I think that we have felt an important shift in our lives with all the things that have happened over the past 2 years. I think that the board has done a great job to actively engage with everything that we could do to keep this association alive. I really wanted to reinforce the deep the appreciation that I have as leading the association to all of the members. I think that we have been able to keep things afloat. You can see some faces there that on a long session, we have kept meeting every 3 months for about an hour and a half, trying to keep topics alive, projects alive, and making sure that we could even come up to this point to present this as the result of the board work. So I think that it's something that we feel we should feel proud in a way that the board is still active and trying to do the best we can for the association. So just to summarize this year, we started with a 3.5-hour session in January 2021, just to check where we were after a challenging 2020, and really trying to understand what we could do with the resources and the time that we had available to keep the association afloat. So we met, we discussed different priorities, we discussed the structure of the board, the structure of the committees, the structure and the activities that the liaisons were supposed to be tackling. And all of this was something that we reviewed in early 2021. And again, we kept alive and actively reviewed during the quarterly meetings that we held along 2021. So once again, thank you, Uli, Sharka, Chantal, Curtis, Gerd, Tim, Hussein, and James. James is not in that picture, but James as well, for your help to keep this association alive. I think that that's the key goal of this group, and I think that we did it for this year. So I don't want to go through too much detail, but these were some of the priorities that we had, kind of macro goals that we set for the association. The first one was to find a way for us as board members to increase our participation and contribution into the priorities of the association. It might seem, I don't know, like an interesting goal in the sense that what does that, maybe what exactly was the previous involvement of the board members, but we all agreed that we needed to be more active, that we really had to play a more active role into the committees, into the different projects we had. And we put ourselves in the line and said, let's do it. Let's try to put ourselves into an active role. And no matter how dark things could be seen at some point in 2020, let's see what we could do to keep this industry alive. And so that's one of the goals we had as a board, to really be more active and involved in the different projects that we had to define for ourselves. And the second priority was to review the committee's goals. As you might recall, we had 4 committees, and you will see it, I think, the next slide. We had 4 committees defined when 2021 started, and we really wanted to see how those groups could be more engaged and make sure that the work that they were doing was impactful for the association. So that was something that we wanted to do, and I think that's also a key accomplishment that we had for the year, and you will see it in the next slides when we go through what the committees achieved and where are we right now in preparation for 2022. So that was our second priority. Again, the interaction with the committees, the goals and the priorities that they had to define. The third goal we had was to review the memberships and retention of our members, which in 2020 we had clearly a significant drop. In 2020, we lost around 35 to 40% of our members, in the sense that they were not able to renew their membership for different reasons. Economic reasons was the main reason of those. So we really wanted to make sure that in 2021 we didn't lose as many members as we lost in 2020. We didn't lose as many members in 2021 as we did in 2020. So that was really one of the priorities that we were pursuing during this year. And the fourth priority was to keep enhancing our communication programs, really to not only rely on the flutterings, that's our key communication channel with all of you, but also the social media channels that we have. We wanted to review those. And also even to get started with that fourth priority, some of you might remember that we run a survey as well in early May of this year, trying to capture your feedback on how we could keep in touch with you guys. And even that was the reason why we decided to do this virtual conference, because in that survey, many people say, hey, let's go with the virtual world and let's do something and let's try to gather. And this is also part of those improvements or projects that we wanted to run and see how feasible they were. And I'm happy that we are now getting here, all of us together and talking and keeping the communication alive. So these were our 4 priorities as an association. What you see on the right is pretty much the dashboard, the way that we were keeping track on how far off or how close we were to achieve some of those priorities. They have different goals, each one of them. But overall, I feel that the results are significant, are important. And as I said, during this challenging time, the important thing here is to keep this group alive, right? We really need to stay connected. This is an industry, for the lack of a better word, that has relied on the connection of all its members and the partnerships and the good relationships. And that's really what we have been trying to do for the past few months. So I think that that's the reflection of the work that is behind the board. Okay, so in here, quick summary. These slides, we will be sharing them with you so that all of you can review them carefully. And I think this is also important to mention that some of the stakeholders in your exhibits or in your private organizations hopefully can be aware, right? That this is part of the work that we are doing, that IABES is an active association, that we have lots of challenges as many other associations have, but that we really want to deliver value to each of the exhibits and suppliers and individual members that are part of the association. And so this is maybe some material that you can share with them as well, so that they know that we are here and that we want to keep moving forward this effort right on behalf of all the exhibits that are part of the association. So as I said already, we had solid commitment from all the board members during the year to attend to the different meetings. We had very valuable conversations, especially one of the topics that we included in our board member sessions was a meeting about, or a topic about the effect, the challenges that the industry was facing in all the regions. We really had like an international update, right, on how the Brexit was affecting the exports in Europe, how the logistics were being impacted by all the flight changes, higher freight costs that we were facing. Even airline restrictions that suddenly show up during 2020 or early 2021. So we really had very valuable discussions that were part of the content that also we put together in the flutterings. And hopefully all of you are receiving the flutterings. If you're not receiving the flutterings, please contact our emails that we will be sharing later today. Maybe in the chat window we can put the emails, but that continues to be our main communication tool, the flutterings, and most of the topics that we talk in our board meetings kind of guided us to material that we put in the flutterings in parallel with other pieces of information that other members have been actively contributing to it. So I think that was another result. Priorities 3 and 4, the ones are around communication and retention of the members. Again, I think that we were trying to keep the relationship alive through the flutterings and the social media channels. We had good interaction in those efforts that we did. We could do even better, but even we are trying to, or we are also censoring if those channels are the right ones, right? We also reactivate the listserv, which some of you have used in the past, this email tool that you can send an email to all these people that are part of IABES. And we did other specific efforts trying to keep everything alive in terms of communication, right? So the fourth note that I have here is the involvement of Uli and Sharka as our liaisons. So I think that the work that they did was great. Although we partially achieved the goal we had, we wanted to retain 95% of the members that were active at the beginning of 2021. We were able to retain 90%, not that bad, but I think that it's important to mention that we were aiming for a higher goal in a challenging time, but still I think that only losing 10% wasn't as bad as we were seeing, again, in comparison to 2020. And we hope that in the years to come, we can contact again those members that their membership expired and see if we can keep them engaged with all of us. And I think that that's a good summary of what you can see here. This is the structure of IABES as of today. So as you can see here, we still have different membership for our members, right? The regular membership, flagship membership, and patron memberships, as well as individual and students that are part of the association. Right now, we have, and I will be going back and forth between those two slides, not to get lost with the numbers, but right now we have 54 active members, out of which 9 are suppliers, 40 are different exhibits, public and private. I don't have the split here, but public exhibits and private are included in this number, as well as 4% individual members that are either consultants and people that have not a specific affiliation to an exhibit or a supplier. It's just somebody who has interest in the industry or has a role that is really relevant for the industry. And the division between regions, we have 31 members coming from the West, meaning Canada and all the Americas continent, and 23 coming from the East, which means Europe, Africa, and Asia, and yeah, pretty much that's what we are covering right now. Okay. Going back to this slide, so these are the 4 committees that we have. We have the Conservation and Research Committee that is still active, one of the most active committees of the past years, with the participation of Kaspar, Jacob, Kimberly, LJ, and also the involvement of Hussein and Kurt as part of the board members. One of the ways that we define as board members to get more active was to be part of the committee. So that's why you see some of the board members' names in here. Then we have the conference committee, which is the same committee that we have kept alive for this conference effort. So we are Linde as the chairperson. Mariska and Michael were partially involved this year. Uli as well, and James and myself were part of that committee. And as clear, I think that we all know that the main goal of this committee is to again, plan and coordinate the efforts for the current year conference and planning for the next year's conference. So this is something that will start taking relevance again as we prepare for next year. Hopefully that we can meet in person somewhere in the world. So that's something that we will be tackling with the help of this committee. And I think that the 2 changes, something that I wanted to be clear for this year, is that we created 2 new committees. One is the communications committee. As you might recall, communications is something that we kept as an action, let's say as an operational activity, but we really want to give more structure and more importance for the association. And that's why we created this new committee that is being led by Chantal. Uli and Sharka as the liaisons are also part of that committee, and myself and Ting Wong were also actively engaged, trying to again evaluate the different channels, content, frequencies, audiences, and trying to keep them relevant for all of us. And last but not least, we also created another committee focused on the membership, and again trying to keep retain the members and trying to keep them engaged and trying to show the value that this association provides to all of us. We wanted to have this special group with Uli and Sharka, again, as our liaisons, myself, James, and Curtis also part of it. And so these two new groups started in 2021. And I think that this is something that we will keep working actively for the coming years as well. All right. At the more tactical level, we still have the involvement of Uli and Sharka as our liaisons. Sharka joined as the East liaison in early 2021. She has done a great job as well, while dealing with lots of her professional responsibilities at the Stratford and all the Brexit and different challenges. So we really appreciate Sharka's help, and Uli as well, with all the involvement with the West members. I think that this has been key to keep people engaged. And the communications group, which, as you may recall, this has been always at a tactical level, led by Chantal and Michael Buckman, who many of you remember as our website lead. He continues to be our website support. And Sharka and Tim were really in charge of the social media support. So this committee with this specific group is what we have been trying to keep all this communication alive. And at the bottom, I think what you can see here, let me hide this real quick. This one here is the board of directors with 7 members, myself, Uli, Curtis, James, Hussein, Tim, and Gert. This is the board that we have. And you will see later in the presentation that 2 of our members, in this case, Curtis and Tim, will be finishing their terms, and we will be opening the nomination cycle for those 2 positions at the end of this year. Okay, so let me just take a quick break. So going back into this slide, this is again the number of members we have: 54 members, 31 from the West, 23 from the East. Retention at 93%. I was referring at 90 before, but still 93%. Members by region, we have 31 in the Americas, 21 in Europe, 1 in Africa. And I am missing a number here, otherwise this would add up to 53. So I might be missing a number in one of these 2 regions, and I need to check it later today. I apologize for that. And what it's important, I think, is to put ourselves in perspective. And so with all the pandemic and the different documents, and even there is a very relevant document that our good friend Mike Wiseman shared with us a couple of years ago, with a very robust database of all the exhibits and suppliers that he has been tracking at a personal level. And so with this file, we feel that the industry, right, these butterfly exports, exhibits, consultants, builders, regulator offices, all of these different participants in this world, it feels like we might be talking about a world of about 850 different players, different participants in this world. These are very rough numbers. As you know, it's always challenging to put together data for our industry, but we're trying to get in more precision or more precise with that. And so it feels like we have about 70, it could be, or there could be around 70 different suppliers. These are numbers that clearly after the pandemic could have changed significantly, but we might be talking about 70 suppliers, meaning people that could be breeding butterflies and supplying butterflies, or only dedicated to supply the butterflies. We could be talking about 270 exhibits, private, public, botanical gardens, zoos, universities exhibits, different type of exhibits. This number of 6 other, right, the independent consultants, let's say, is just, again, a reference. And one of an interesting data point that we were able to reconfirm with the COVID efforts, the grants that we gave in 2020, is that there might be around 500 breeders around the world. And this is a number that at least at a personal level, was something that I was very interested always to imagine, right? About how many people could there be dedicated to breeding butterflies and keep this industry alive, right? So that's a number that I feel might be important for all of us to have in our minds, that it's a very large basis of a very large group of people that keep this world alive in terms of butterfly exhibits and exports. And I feel that this puts our association in perspective as well, right? How can we enhance our participation, our involvement? How can we attract some of those people to be part of the association, and try to increase this number as the years pass, right? Because as I said, in 2020, we lost close to 20, I think it's like 15 to 20 members that hopefully we can, again, regain in the coming years. But we are seeing a drop, right, in the number of people affiliated to IABES or IABES, and we need to find a way to change that trend, right, and try to promote the importance of the association. And I think that all of us should be very vocal with other members of this world of butterflies, so that they know that they can join and be part of this effort that we're trying to drive at a worldwide level. Okay, so I will start very brief here. I want to see some faces because I stopped seeing faces. So far, so good. Yep. All right. All right. Thank you for the feedback. So moving forward, let me do a quick time check. Okay, so we're still on time. So these are the committees. I think that this is too detailed to go through, and I have already shared some of what we have done as an association, but you can see here in detail the very kind of a summary, I would say. Each of the committees presented a quick annual summary, and this was collected by the different board members that are part of the different committees, and Curtis, as our secretary, was very helpful to put it all together, and now we're having it here as a summary of the results of each committee. So the conservation and research, again, this is one of those committees that you might remember lots of projects coming from here, like Save Homeros, the Conservation Center that at some point we were actively engaged in the Philippines, and this is something that we will have an update here. Also with a project that the ones that you see here on the left side of the screen, these were our key projects, conservation projects, research projects that we were supporting on behalf of IABES. The one that has been for over 10 years, I think, as part of the priorities for IABES is the Safe Homeros. And with this continue to be the flagship project, as it says here, despite the difficulties created by the pandemic, the project is moving forward. Susan Koenig has been very communicative with Caspar, with the committee as well. And this year, in 2021, we, as the board, we decided to support this project with an extra $10,000 to keep moving forward their efforts and all the work that is happening in Canada, and sorry, in Jamaica. So one of the things that it's important to mention is that pretty much we are, and Gert, please correct me if I'm wrong with what I'm about to say, but I remember a note from Susan saying that IABES was pretty much the sponsor of this effort that they have been leading since, again, 2006. So that's over 15 years. And she was relying on IABES to keep moving forward with the project. There were very specific legal battles still pending to happen in Jamaica with this at the cockpit area. As some of you might remember, this is a project with lots of legal aspects, lots of local aspects. And Susan has been dealing with lots of challenges to move forward, but we all felt very compelled to continue supporting this effort. And this is why the donation of a $10,000 grant to, again, to move forward the 2021 efforts was given again. And so I think that this is one of those key accomplishments from this committee, the Conservation and Research Committee. Okay. The last three projects, I think I would jump into the Arabuco Sosoke project from Maria Fungiamelli, who many of you know. I don't know if Maria is here today, but Maria has finished her research project in the area, and it was presented in the flutterings. I see this number right here, Chantal. I don't know if you can help me if this is the flutterings that we sent in April. Is that what it was? That what that means? I don't know if you can unmute.
I'm not quite sure about the number. I'd have to check that first.
Not a problem.
I think it might be more recent than that, the last recap. It might be the one that went out in August.
Yeah, that's why I feel that it was more recent. You're right. So I hope that you guys, when you check the latest versions of the flutterings, there was a very good summary of her research on what she was able to accomplish with this study. And I think that we all should be very happy to see the results of this research project in an area that is very relevant for our friends for the Kipepeo project, and also for the whole region of Kenya. So I think that that's very, very relevant. And the other two projects, as you can see here, is something that we need to keep checking and developing, or having better details on how things are unfolding. So the one in the Philippines is something that is a bit dormant due to the lack of resources. We are hearing that the project is coming back, and even in one of the videos that you can see in the YouTube channel, Elizabeth from the Philippines, who has been one of those contact points, or Beth, as many of you know her, she talks about the project that is gaining traction again. And this is something that the committee is going to be trying to link back to the Philippines team and see if we need to continue to support it, or if something will have to be changed. And the last project around a research that we were supporting on and the usage of specific pesticides in France is a project that we were not able to get an update from. And very likely this project will drop. It's something that we were supporting since 2017, but for different reasons, we feel that the updates are not coming as clear as we would expect. And so we are evaluating if for 2022, we will continue to support it, or if the project will be dropped. One of the important things of the committee, and this is something that I know is ongoing right now, is that we're trying to review the criteria that we are applying for the different projects that come, right? And so we're trying to be more precise on what type of projects we want to support, on even considering the lifespan of the project, the coordination with the public or private sector if the project requires. So there are a few things that we want to be more clear, and the committee is going to be doing that in preparation for 2022 as well, to review all the criteria for funding, for how long, what type of requirements we want the project leads to follow, right, in terms of reporting back to the association. So this is a lot of work that must happen, but I feel that this continues to be a committee that is very active for the association. Okay, going into the communications world, I think that I have shared most of what is in here. the reference to the flutterings, to social media, to the to how much relevance we want to give to the conservation efforts in the flutterings, and making sure that all of you as members are informed. And again, the usage of connection with social media groups that we could use. So we will continue to expand a little more in terms of communication moving forward. But again, the flutterings is our key communication tool. So we really invite you all to stay connected to it. And as I said before, if you haven't received it, or if you don't get a copy every month, please connect with our liaisons so that you can get a copy there. All right. Then we move forward to here. These are the last two, the last two committees, the membership support. As we said, this is something that, one group that we created in 2021, trying to keep the membership topics alive, especially the benefits, how to keep people retained and engaged. And so I think that what you guys I think it's important to mention that for next year, and this is something that we have been thinking about during this year as well, but we want to review the rates that we are presenting to our members, to see if we can manage a different extension, maybe for the same rate, give you a 1.5 year membership time, or if we can reduce the fees. But you know how challenging those topics could be, right? Because once we go down in the fee, it might be very challenging to increase it in the future. So lots of considerations are on the table right now, but we are actively reviewing this. And also, beyond the fee cost, which clearly is very important due to the many financial challenges we all are living in, we want to present more, again, a better information package for all of the members, right? And this is why I feel your feedback is very important through email, directly with the board, directly with the liaisons, to come up with ways to keep you better informed. And again, show to your stakeholders, your managers, your supervisors in your exhibits, how important it is for you and the the exhibit itself to be part of the association. So if there is something that we can help you more, please let us know. We have only those 7 heads, all meeting every 3-4 months. But if you can give us any feedback, I think that would be also very valuable to put it in the blender and try to come up with better products and information for all of you. Okay. And last but not least, the conference committee, which again, beginning of this year, we decided to host this virtual conference that is happening right now. And again, mainly guided by your feedback, right? Out of the 43 people that replied back to the survey that we sent in April, half of them said, hey, we want to have a virtual conference, and this is one of the reasons why we are here. So we really want to keep hearing from all of you and making sure this association is giving you what you're looking for and what you need. And again, for next year, we are now planning 2022, the potential conference we can have somewhere in the world. So I know that Gerlinde will be leading this, hopefully as well with Mike again, and many others that have been part of these groups. And countries have been mentioned. One now is Costa Rica, to have it here potentially. At the beginning of the call, we were talking about maybe Ecuador could be another location, but I feel that we need to evaluate different elements, right? Budget restriction, travel restrictions, health conditions of the participants, so that we make sure it is a successful event. So this is something that we are right now just starting to move forward, but you will hear more in the coming weeks. And if there is any potential interest from any of the participants to propose a location, again, feel free to let us know, and we will be happy to take it. I think the idea for 2022 is to do it, as part of the cadence that we had of moving from east to west and to an international location. Last year, we couldn't do it in the UK. It feels challenging to do it next year in the UK, and that's why we are aiming for an international location to run the conference. So again, open for feedback, and feel free to submit your names or potential locations to Gerlinde, or again, the liaisons or the board directly. All right, so I will take a deep breath here. I hope that I haven't put you to sleep. I don't see all the faces here, but I want to see if my good friend James Ship is already in the call. I don't know if James is here.
I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you. Good.
I made it.
Perfect timing, James. So I don't know if you can maybe guide us through the, oh, let me hide this. And guide us through this couple of slides that I put together with the summary of your report.
Okay, so through 2021, it's actually not been a bad year. It's been a kind of slightly up on 2019, but strangely down on 2020. But my gut feeling is that with 2020, although a lot of places shut down, I think there was a lot of commitment to supporting the breeders from around the world. So I think overall finances went up somewhat because of that. So it's been a good year. My gut feeling is that we need to do a little bit more on membership fees to bring up the conservation account. So if I'm going through all of the accounts, sorry, I haven't got slides on here, so I've got my paperwork. The Swiss account is it's in pretty good stead, but we used a lot of that last year to pay out this year, sorry, to pay out for the conservation donations. So the PayPal account hasn't really moved, so that's kind of stayed relatively static, although it's slowly creeping up. The Swiss account started off brilliantly, but now it's gone down quite dramatically, but that's as we would have expected. And the Wells Fargo account is generally going up as well. So putting all the finances together and moving 10% of membership across, we're now in a position, after all the conservation donations have gone out for the year, that we are on $852.83 for any future projects. The reason that's so low is because in the previous year, we donated $45,500 to suppliers around the world. But in terms of money coming in, that was only around $32,000 or $33,000. So we used a large proportion of the Swiss account money to pay for that. So that's why that account seems to be going down quite low. But that was agreed upon. That seemed like the best course of action at the time. So things are looking pretty good. Sorry, Sergio, I'm just going to read through your bit on here as well. So the $10,000 that we had agreed upon to send over to Save Homerus, that was in addition to another $551 that Chantal, I believe, came from a school. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There was a donation from a Swiss school that wanted to explicitly donate for Homerus.
Yeah. So I think we've also had other places kind of asking specifically how they can donate directly to Homerus. So I think for future donations, we'll put a separate account, well, not necessarily a separate account, but we'll log it separately for anything that is specifically for Homerus and doesn't want to be used for other conservation research projects. So we'll have to consider that. So membership has actually gone up a little bit in 2021 compared to 2019, but down ever so slightly by a few £100, which is realistically the difference of about 4 or 5 members. However, we've done the report slightly early, about a month and a bit earlier than I'd normally do. So there is still time for that to creep up. We haven't got any commitments anymore this year to send anything else out. And I don't know is that we've got anything agreed to send out next year. So we will need to significantly increase how much we put across for conservation if we're to look at a similar amount going to Homerus within the next 2 years, as I don't think we would have enough to justify $10,000 again in 2023 without some significant movement. I think it's going to be a good year the next year. I think most places are starting to increase with footfall. I know from Stratford, on a personal note, we've been up about 30% since we've reopened after COVID restrictions. So not everywhere will be on the same footing, but here things seem to improve. So I can see a relatively good kind of re-emergence into the next year. So I'm hopeful. Any more questions?
James, if I may, sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't raise my hand, which everybody else is encouraged to do, by the way, or put it into this chat group, and we'll see it all. Conservation Fund had some questions about amounts going in and out.
Yeah.
We are down so much, but we still have enough to pay the Homeros regularly $2,000, or I can't tell that from this particular slide.
So right, so at the moment, so what happened in 2020 was we'd committed to a certain amount of money to go out to the suppliers around the world.
Right.
However, we were relying almost solely upon donations coming in to fund that, which then didn't actually amount to the amount that we had donated out. So we were down, I think, I've got it here. I've got it somewhere. I think it was about £12,000 we still owed. 13,500. So we used $13,500 from the IABES Conservation Fund to go to kind of the relief fund, so to speak. So that came out of the conservation account. So within that was actually the joint conservation and Papiliorama account at the time. So we just basically said, well, we'll bring the conservation account down to zero, and then whatever's left in there is used to pay off the wages for Chantal and for Shaka, and for any other bits of payments that we need to make. So this year, the conservation account started at zero. And so all the money that's now in the conservation account is just purely from 10% of fees made this year. I know in a board meeting, we'd kind of said, well, it's unlikely we're going to be able to just keep paying that 13,500 back. If we can, brilliant, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. So I think we'd said that will just be IABES is paying that, is funding that. So we've got $852 in there now. The other 639 was the direct payment out to Homerus from the school donation. So there's $852.83. So if we can make the same amount next year, yeah, we can trickle that out to Homerus every year at $2,000, but we'd still need to do a little bit more work.
Okay, so that would mean that either at the board level or individual members chiming in, we need to reallocate more towards our number one priority of conservation out of these $42,000 in the balance that we have in our general fund. Need to decide what to spend that money on, and that should come, of course, from ideas of the general membership, wishes of the membership, as well as maybe steered by the board into the right direction.
Yeah.
And I won't ask for vote or specifics now. This may not be the best time to do that.
Okay, so let me take all your faces in here. So is there any other question about financials for the association? Where the money is going? Where is it coming from? For James or for any of the board members? No? So I think that we need to submit this for voting, right, Uli?
Well, we need to adopt the financial report. It's one of the things that I guess we have to do, and I gladly raise this as for vote, and need a second to say we accept this report for 2021. So any second person? Curtis says yes, muted.
Chantal, I see it. So are you guys okay with the report? Do you approve it?
Approved.
All right.
I'll also just, I mean, obviously we're still in November, so I'll send a final version of this for the board at the end of December as well. So you've got the full year's worth of data.
Okay. Thank you, James. Thank you for that. All right.
And we see, of course, the problem of a Zoom meeting. A, there is no beer involved or some other preferred drink. And B, it's awfully quiet out there with all and everybody being muted. So please feel free to unmute and chime in here. This is a meeting of the members that otherwise would chit chat freely and happily. So I know this is a little stifling, but please open up your microphone and chime in when you feel like it.
Okay. All right. Well, so for now, looks like you guys are all clear on the report. And I want to thank again James for keeping track of all these ins and outs on our accounts. As you can see here, our account, again, just in quick numbers, we started with $51,000 and $51,500, and then we're closing on $42,400. So it's going down again, mainly by the grant that we gave to Homeros. And this is all this topic that we need to take back with the board on, again, membership fees and making sure that we can continue to support our projects. One of the things that we haven't said, but since the conference also was one of those events where the association had to, well, afford some of the, or cover some of the costs with the memberships, well, not with the membership, but with the affiliation or the participation fees to the conference. But since this year was free for everyone, the only thing that we have proposed was to cover the production cost of the videos of the suppliers that have submitted videos. Most of the suppliers have done do-it-yourself type of videos, so it looks like we would not have to reimburse those costs to the suppliers, but we still need to keep that window open to be fair with the process, because that's really what we offer to cover partially with, I think it was like a $400 fee if somebody needed, but we will be telling you that and reporting that back to you once James completes the report for this year. But it looks like people will not be using the grants, but maybe some will have to use it. We still need to do the final check as the conference finishes. Okay.
I had a question.
Yes, Dan.
So let me get this straight. So the amount that's coming in is 8,528 on memberships.
Yes, on
Right.
memberships.
That's the total amount of money that's coming in from the conference, correct? I mean, from the association.
Correct.
And how much does that go to marketing for the butterfly industry?
Say that again, Dan.
Well, I mean, do we have a set amount of money that goes for marketing for the IABES? Just curious.
Good question. From what I can say is I don't think that we have defined a marketing budget, but I don't know if you, Chantal, coming from communications, can clarify if you had some. But I don't think so.
No, that's correct. We don't have a specific marketing campaign past and beyond what we do through flutterings and on the web page. So the cost, of course, to create the flutterings, which is Chantal's salary, as well as our website costs, which are a little underestimated here because this year we had $280. We did not do any extra promotion with the Facebook options that would cost a few $100 if we wanted to do it, but technically speaking, we don't have official marketing costs.
Well, just an idea. Just suppose for your fees, your tuition, whatever, every year, that you were to create a marketing thing that could go worldwide. Obviously, everybody wants to benefit from it, but it doesn't seem like we have that right now, except for Flutterings. But if you were to say, okay, so flagship is $300, if your institution wants to be included on I'm just talking off the top of my head here, but I think if we're going to ever get to the next level, we need to get to 8,000 to 30, 40,000, something big, so you can really expand the industry. Maybe I'm reaching too far here, but that's not a lot of money to play with for a group.
That's a very valid point, Dan, and I appreciate your feedback on that. It's something that we should discuss clearly for future years. Yeah.
We used to actually have, or tried to, remember at Niagara, I think it was even a marketing committee, which did not really gel at the time, I believe, and has not come up with marketing strategies to enhance the industry as a whole, like the citrus industry in Florida, for example. It would have to come a little bit from our members saying, this is a way I want to market to other places. Most of our institutional marketing goes directly to our local environment, so I'm not sure that IABES would improve anything or could do much to improve our marketing here around the Triangle, for example, in North Carolina. So that's a toughie to find one strategy that fits all. We do sort of market our breeders. The videos was in some ways intended to highlight our breeders with the intent to give them more visibility that they often don't have, other than their normal clients that you already have. I'm not sure how, Dan, you do get new clients and how much you need new clients. That's maybe something we can talk with the breeders tomorrow. But it's really a toughie to think of something that would enhance the sale of butterflies or the value thereof further and beyond. And in my books, the conservation mission and videos or so that we just got are extremely valuable, and that's why we also we're offering a little extra money for those that needed production help.
I'm thinking not so much for the breeder part, but the exhibitors. Okay, if you're exhibit in North Carolina or wherever, and you're getting into this game, and you want to be promoted, on a regular basis. I mean, the more the better. We could with the internet now. It seems to me you could highlight a certain exhibit. Okay, this month, and then be regular with it. Once a month you highlight this and this, and I'm just talking on top of my head. But for me, looking at this, as a small business guy, $8,000 is not a lot of money to run an operation. I mean, you're surviving and you've got a good balance there. But if you wanted to go big, blow it out of the park, I think you need maybe we could have just a round table or something where, okay, we tried this, it failed, this and this, but I don't know. There's so many good exhibits all over the world that, the whole point of one of the whole points of forming this association is that we help each other. And if you could highlight, certain exhibits or any exhibit for that matter, if they're paying the fee, then I could see, your income coming in and it's spreading. Plus, you're doing all those other good things. But I don't know. Just when I look at that number, I don't see much growth. I see surviving, paying the bills, but I don't see taking a big leap in this.
Point well taken, I would say, and definitely correct.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan, for bringing that up. I see Jacob's and Mike's hands. I don't know who raised it first. Mike?
Just to reiterate what Dan was saying, give it a little bit of historic perspective. When IABES was first founded long ago, gee, it was so long ago, wasn't it? About 20 years ago, the main focus was marketing, cooperative marketing. We modeled ourselves after the National Cave Association, which is a group of caverns in the US that whenever you go to a cave, there would be brochures about other caves. So you could learn about other caverns. And if you enjoy your visit at one, it's like you could find out where the other ones are the same way. So we created, in the early days, we created the IABES poster, Butterfly Houses of the World, and those were hanging up at different facilities. We had the pin trading going on for a while where everybody had a pin for their facility. And some of these things worked well, some of them not so well. But for a lot of exhibitors, the initial focus was how do we market each other around the world, where the visitors that come to our exhibits would get excited about going to other exhibits as well. And so I think that's mostly what Dan was referring to, if I'm correct there, Dan.
Correct.
You know, a lot of us got into it for that in the early days. You know, how do we help the industry as a whole get more visitors? And a lot of these, especially smaller exhibits, are looking for ways to increase their exposure out there. And so a membership fee to an organization that's going to get their name out there is well worth it. You know, they would see that as marketing. Now, we heard from some of the larger exhibits that they already have internal marketing that they do on their own. Like I'm sure Uli's facility, they have their own marketing department that, you know, that they wouldn't join IABES for marketing. It's just not something that would happen for them. But for the smaller exhibits, they have no good way to market outside of their small community. So I don't know whether it's something we could bring back or increase or what, but I see where Dan's point is on that. We might be able to grow our membership, especially with the smaller exhibits, if we were doing more to give them exposure internationally. And one of the thoughts that came up is, you know, whenever you sit down on an airplane, it's been a long time since a lot of us have done that, but when you sit on an airplane, there's a magazine right there in the seat back in front of you that has articles about different places around the world. Maybe creating a magazine article about our industry that would go into the in-flight magazine. That's one example of something we could do that would get the name of the organization out there, but also market specific facilities, you know, especially hit our flagship facilities, give them some exposure in something like a magazine article. That's just one thought that came to my head. But anyway, I'll shut up now, but that was reiterating what Dan said.
No, thank you, Mike. This is extremely valuable, and I'm happy that you're bringing that historic perspective. But it's very important to get to hear how those gray hairs are not there for nothing. So thank you for bringing that up and putting that in the table again. I think that this is a good call for the board and all the members as well, right? Jacob.
Yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents. I mean, I think the question here is, how do you build membership so you have more funding to provide better services? And at the same time, the chicken and egg conundrum is, how do you provide better services so you get more membership? I'm not a marketing person, and I would reckon that most of us on this call aren't right now, but one practical recommendation that occurs to me, I don't know if people can reach back into their institutions and maybe create an ad hoc committee with some marketing people to say, how could IABES deliver more value? Because I could come up with ideas, but they might not sell. But that might be one way to attack this. And the other thing that I want to mention, and I think this has been a key source of value for a lot of us over many years with IABES, is kind of regulatory and logistical intelligence. And that was super important during the pandemic when everything got disrupted. Brexit is creating its own challenges. USDA has been, an ongoing evolution. So just another suggestion of things that IABES might be able to deliver is, a periodic set of webinars, which are super cheap and easy to set up. I mean, I don't want to minimize the hard work that went into setting up this call, but I think it's fairly easy to roll things out. And if we could do, an update on Brexit and how it's affecting suppliers, or how, during the pandemic, how did changes in cargo schedules affect supply chains, and how do you deal with that? So that seems like it might be a fairly easy thing to set up, and we could, crowdsource ideas for doing that. But just getting a sense of where things are moving in the different in the different markets, I think is super useful. And there are probably things that I'm not even aware of.
Oh, wow, thank you, Jacob, for that feedback as well. And in fact, now that we're opening that, I mean, that this is happening, this energy of ideas and potential ways to add more value. I don't know if anyone else will have any other suggestion, just to do maybe a few more minutes of that. Chantal, please.
Sorry. I mean, these numbers are quite worrying to me too, because of one simple reason. At the moment, we're not even paying a wage for the Western membership liaison. So if we were adding a wage to that number, then we would be really in a bad position. And so I really think we have to do something to improve our income. I don't know how, but we have to improve that. And I think there was some idea of maybe reinstalling, well, doesn't really matter. In any direction we go in the future, I mean, counting $4,000 or $5,000 of wages a year is really not much, and there's not much you can do with that. But I'm not complaining about my salary, don't understand me wrong.
No, totally clear. Thank you, Chantal, for that. Thank you for that feedback. Anyone else?
I sent something to the board a while ago, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, asking AZA, and we're not regulating our units, but AZA does a thing where they send people out to facilities, they look at what's going on, and they give suggestions. And I proposed to the board at one time, we put together some sort of group or committee where someone could say, hey, I would love other institutions to just take a look at my operations, see how I go through my processes, and then just allow other institutions that are part of that committee to be like, hey, that's cool. We do something like that. Have you ever thought of doing this? Because I've always thought it's funny. We are such a small industry in the large part, but we're not really good at sharing information as far as things that we do on a ground level. I had a handful of people that participated when I did an emergence study where I was getting how were things doing in your chambers, at your place? How do you clean your chambers? And it was interesting, out of the statistical analysis that we ran, in facilities that used Windex as their window cleaning product from the data showed they had lower emergence rates than the others. Now, we were never able to tease out why, but it's a piece that figuring out what different facilities are doing and then comparing that across could help us in a lot of ways. And not that I want everyone to standardize and do the same thing, but we're not sharing what each of us are doing so we can find best practices even well. And so some sort of group that looked at it and was like, hey, have you ever considered this to help out what you're doing? I am pulling together a piece right now, and this may be a totally off-topic side. Ryman Gardens has a mobile app that visitors can use to identify the butterflies in the exhibit. It has an ever-changing gallery. It has other elements to it as well. I'm working with a group of programmers right now to create a version that any facility out there that wants to be part of it can then put their data in and have their own mobile app at their facility. The group that's making it is actually making it so that other people could go up a level and see all the other facilities and their version of this shared mobile app. I'm writing a thing. It should be ready for the fluttering hopefully next time.
Oh, great.
I was
Thank
just was just commenting or going to comment that, yes, did you publish those results about Windex and the effect on pupa emergence in the flutterings? If not, maybe there's still a chance. So basically, I call for, yes, sharing that in the flutterings. If not as a written article, that goes for everybody. We can create an article out of Chantal better. And as always, thank you, Chantal, for creating these newsletters. We can do that, we can help that, but that's definitely one way. And of course, I would call this a nice marketing trick here, Nathan, for your app that I will go and buy. So if you bring that out, we'll buy it.
It's free. I'm having it made
The
free
better.
for everyone for free.
That's great. Yeah, and thank you, Nathan, for that. And even if that proposal, if you could find the email, I don't remember getting it, but if you have it, that would be great to get it from story emails. And again, as Uli said, if anyone would like to share any specific research, anything that you have been able to put together for your exhibit in the flutterings, please let us know. You cannot even imagine how challenging it could be sometimes to put together content for the flutterings, right? And now hearing this or any other idea of material, it was very useful. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, is there any other comment around ideas that we could start evaluating to enhance the impact of the association? No more raised hands? Nope. Uli, are you raising your hand again, or?
No,
No?
I didn't take my hand down, I'm sorry, but
All right.
yes, improving member communications from the members to the other members. That's my suggestion and my wish.
Perfect.
Let me get that hand away there.
Yeah, and I'm taking my notes here as well. And Mike and Dan, now that I hear you speaking about, again, what was the original intention of this association, I would love to put myself on the spot and try to have a call with you guys again and try to get some of those initial thoughts. Clearly, it's to enhance what we could do, and especially this is a reset. I hate to use that word. It's been used very colloquially in many different ways, but this reset that we are living as a world is something that maybe give us a chance to revisit what was the original intention and how to take it back. Right. So thank you for that. So I will try to get a call with you guys. Okay, so thank you again, James, for giving us this update, the treasury report. So you will get the final version. Again, you will get this copy of the slides. And then once the year has closed, we will get the final update from James. So with that, I think that the next, Enzo, I see you're raising your hand.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I just connected very late. I didn't follow all discussion, but I'm close to you anyway. And the problem is I'm too busy. You know, after COVID, the situation is not very easy too. And so I thank you very much, everybody, to take up this session and to be on the subject. And I do my best to collaborate anyway. But my time is very, very tight. And I promise anyway that I will send another couple of articles soon. Or maybe that to be interested in the whole association. The fact is that I'm managing not only the butterfly exhibition, but other museum that nothing to do with butterfly, but one especially is insect museum, and we're doing a lot of research or exploration, also conservation project in insects that are not butterflies, and this is not very interesting for our association. But when I do something about butterfly, I promise I send you a paper.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody. Sorry for my absence.
No, thank you. So we appreciate your support and collaboration with the Flutterings. You have been very active. So that's really good. Thank you. Okay. All right, so let me then just move through. We still have a few more minutes to go. Well, in about 5 minutes, we should be closing the meeting, but so I will go briefly through the board member terms. And again, Chantal, sorry to put you on the spot, but if you, again, this is the table that shows the different roles and the different terms and when did they start and when are they going to be closing. So as I said at the beginning, well, in the middle of the call, our good friend Curtis has been with us as part of the board for a long time, and now he's completing his second term and he has to depart from the board as of December 31st. And so the secretary position will be opening, as well as Tim, who is one of our regular board members, who's completing his first term again on December the 31st. And he has communicated that he, for different reasons, he's not able to continue being part of the board. So we will be opening, again, nominations for these two positions. So we didn't want to communicate this with all these other communications for the virtual conference, but in a brief call with the support team behind the virtual conference, I think that we said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chantal, that we will be communicating opening the nomination cycle during November and opening the voting for December. Correct, Chantal?
Yeah, the proposal was to send out a call for candidates next week, have them be sent back by the end of November, and then we send out a ballot within the month of December, which has to be back before the 20th of December, more or less, so that we know who's going to be on the board for next year before Christmas.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you for that clarification, Chantal. So for all the members, we want to open it up. Again, it's, as you can see, we're living in an interesting time for this association, and we need lots of help and fresh ideas and the intention to continue moving forward this amazing effort. So anyone who is interested can self-nominate in November, or if you have names that you want to put in front, please do so, and don't be shy. I mean, if you want to be part of this group, put your name in, and let's complete the voting cycle. But we really would like to hear from you guys and get help on moving this forward. So I think that that's really the message that I wanted to pass. And again, in preparation for those emails that our communications team will be sending out. So and again, Curtis, and I don't know if Tim was able to join, but considering this is your last General Assembly, I want, on behalf of all the board members, to thank you for your time and dedication and commitment to the association over all these years. And I hope that, yeah, you can stay around and continue to help us. But I don't know if you want to share some words before we move to the next topic.
I'd just like to say thanks to everyone. I've been here a long time. I was talking to my wife about it. I've been on the board for just about 25% of my life. So it's time to pass the torch. I hope I benefited in some way. I know personally I did, with connections, relationships. I've learned so much. Yeah, and I'd like to thank everyone, and I'll definitely be around. One thing I'd just like to add, for when you're considering nominations, when you look at this list, you'll notice it's for the directors, it's all males on there. So when nominating, where's the ladies? Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Curtis. That's very true.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
No, thank you. And is Tim on today? I don't know if he was able to join.
Yeah, hey Sergio, I'm here.
Hey Tim, good to hear you.
Yeah. Sorry, I've just been running around our rainforest exhibit this morning. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for all of your help and guidance. It really has been a pleasure to serve IABES and on the board, especially in such a challenging year. And I hope to continue helping the sport with social media, especially Instagram and Facebook. So if anyone has ideas on what they'd like to see, or photos or videos, if you're an IABES member that you'd like to contribute, you're more than welcome to send them to me, and I'll be happy to share them on our outlets.
Perfect. Thank you, Tim. We're really happy to have you and all your support as well on social media. So we're thank you for that, and we look forward to continue interacting and so getting your support. All right. Okay, so I think that this is again just the quick update on board terms and elections and communications that will be coming to all of you very soon. And again, reinforcing what Curtis said, I hope that we can get some female representatives in the board. It's always very beneficial, and so we hope that we can see some names coming in front. Okay, and I think that this is the wrap up in a way for 2022. So what to expect, opportunities and challenges. So I think that this is, and I wasn't writing this as we were speaking today, but I think that we continue to think on ways to, again, to deliver more value, right, for all the associates. So we know that we still have lots of things to do, and this open discussion we had, I really want to thank you again for all those who participated, because that's really what we want to do. And I have to say that it has been again challenging for all the board members. We all had different restrictions. We're having to play with different hats. It hasn't been easy at all. And that's why I want to thank once again those who have stayed around. At some points we have felt that okay, this is too much to keep it going, but we were able to do it. But I think that the ideas are there, and we need to find more hands. I think that that's really what we need. So having more committees maybe is an option. I wrote here, and this is a personal note as the president of the association, that the role of the executive director is something that we could reevaluate. Right now, I mean, there are lots of ideas and not that many hands. And so committees could be an option, but sometimes the coordination of the committees could also be challenging. So this is something that I think, again, on behalf of the board and on a personal note, we should evaluate, and we will evaluate for 2022. And again, the other challenge will be the financials, how to afford the support of an executive director with the financials we have. So all is clearly interconnected, but it's something that we have as a challenge. We really need to see how we can deliver more value with the hands we have, with the resources we have. And again, get extra help is always very useful. So put your names in, and we are very open. I think that we have a very open board. So anything that you want to communicate, please let us know. And well, and I think that the second bullet there, again, the idea of communicating clear goals for the committees is also important, so that we stay focused on what is needed. And so this is something that we will be doing again as a board for the association, and trying to incorporate the feedback that we got today and any feedback that you might have in the future. And I think that this one is just probably, I would call it as an introduction to what we will be talking tomorrow. Clearly, from all the different crystal balls that we're using to see the future, we see in most of the crystal balls a very still foggy 2022, right? We're still a little brighter, but it's still challenging. And I think that these two images here are just an illustration of what to expect, right? I think it's clear to all of us that the freight and clearance costs, shipping costs from all the different regions are going up in different ranges from 20 up to 50%. I have heard even increases of over 60% in some of the airline fees. And clearly out of our hands, right? Is something that all these logistics challenges, right, that are happening around the world, even shipping containers is impacting the airline industry, right? It's not isolated. We're all connected into all of this. And so this is one of those delicate topics that we need to keep in mind. We have been dealing with more expensive rates, and it is something that will impact the capacities of the exhibits to manage, again, shipments and acquire shipments from different suppliers. So this is something that is in front of us. And again, not something that we could see stabilizing soon. So I think that next year, this is going to be one of our major headaches. And we need to be very, exhibits and even suppliers, we must be very smart on how we supply and acquire pupae, right, to the exhibits. Box sizes are going to be challenging. Time to deliver is going to be challenging. Different things. So I think that this is something that you all need to be fully aware. This is a common topic from all the board meetings we had over 2021. And I think that most of the suppliers are evaluating what will be the new cost for the orders next year. And to the right, you can see as well a higher pupa cost. And this range that you see there is the discussion, right, that we have received from different angles, different perspectives. Some of the reasons is clearly because of the lower global demand. I think that all suppliers, and this might be an interesting question tomorrow on how much reduction we have seen, but I think that is a common topic that we are not supplying at the same levels that we supplied pupae in 2019, which was our last regular year. And clearly we are dealing with higher operational costs, right? So higher inflations affecting the different economies around the world, especially the non-developed, or I don't want to use third world, but the non-developed countries or in development countries are still facing different economic challenges. So it is something affecting the operation of the different suppliers and breeders. And as well, that depending on the pricing model for the different suppliers, some of them might be including or considering the shipping cost into their pupae cost. So each supplier has a different business or pricing model, and for those who cover part of the shipping with the pupae, they might be forced to increase their pupae cost. So these are two, again, big challenges for next year. And this is why we want to open the call for comments and ideas, again, for the next 2 days. I think that this will be the key topic to discuss and be prepared for that. Okay. Not to finish on the low note, but we need to stay positive, remain positive, try to find the brighter side of things, but not without taking, again, putting our feet on the ground and getting a real sense on how things are. So I think that it's going to take a while to recover and put these different aspects into a more reliable condition, right, for the betterment of the industry. So I think that this is, again, one quick line as an introduction for the next 2 days. But again, as a context for all of us as members of the association on how to stay together and go through this and then continue to thrive as an association and in this business. So with that, I think that is all I had. Again, on behalf of the board, this is all we have prepared for you guys. So I would like to stop here. I will stop sharing and again, open the floor for questions, open the call for questions or comments.
Well, first comment is, of course, thank you, Sergio. We have had the lack of having some fabulous presidents in Michael and now in Sergio that lead us and consolidate all these ideas and keep it all nice together. Even though we're with 1 hour and 40 minutes already past the time we had allotted. So thanks, Sergio. Good job. Keep it going. And thanks to the other board members, Tim and Curtis, that we have to say farewell to in some ways, but as you already heard, they will be involved. So is Galinde as a longtime board member way back when, and so am I as a longtime board member a long time ago. If you are daring to get up to nominate yourself or let yourself be nominated, Nathan, you will be drawn in and called upon for more work than just 4 hours of, or 3.5 hours of meetings with Sergio. Anyway, I should shut up and please unmute yourself, or Sergio, you can unmute everybody and let everybody chime in again.
Yeah, no, feel free to unmute. I don't want to create a noise storm if I unmute people. I don't know what is your background noise, and so feel free to unmute just before we close. And again, we will be seeing hopefully all of you tomorrow and on Thursday as well.
I definitely did have a few more replies to my invites, so I would expect a few more people to show up tomorrow. And maybe on Thursday.
I would like to follow Uli's words and thank you very much. It was the first time that we had an online meeting, and I think it was really great to get those updates about the board work that you were doing, and very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gerlinde. Yeah, we're very happy. This is the first accomplishment of IABES in the virtual world, to have you all here. I don't know how many people we ended up having. I don't know how to count in Zoom. 27.
We had 30 participants.
30. Thank you, Hussein. So that's great. It's great. We're super happy. I want to thank Gert, because we're using Gert's paid subscription to IABES. No, to Zoom. Even we didn't have to use our resources to pay. So thank you, Gert, for your help to lend us your account. So we're very happy. And again, we hope to see you tomorrow. I hope that all of you can join not only tomorrow, but Thursday. Thank you again for an open call. I'm happy to get those feedback from you, Dan, Mike, Jacob, and Nathan. And if anyone would like to share anything that couldn't share, please, you have our emails. But again, thank you so much. I hope that you can have a good rest of the evening or afternoon, wherever you are in this world. And I hope that we can see you tomorrow. All right?
All right.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See you later, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
There was Maria.